What's up, YouTube? It's Heretic here. Welcome back. No face cam today because my camera's being kind of wonky. But we are looking at another deck from Guardians Rising. And this one's a bit more niche than some of the other ones that I've shown you guys from the set. This is based on the new Trevenant, which has an attack called Poltergeist, which some of you guys from the Diamond and Pearl era might remember. For a double colorless, Poltergeist deals 30 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand and it deals 30 damage for each trainer card you find there. Important key there, trainer as opposed to item, so it adds up supporters and stadiums as well, which is a pretty big attack. So it is a 120 HP, stage 1, and a grass type, which means you get the awesome access to forest and giant plants, which means that if you go second, you can do it on turn 1. So Poltergeist, a pretty powerful attack. Like I said, it was a pretty big attack in combination with Vileplume's item lock, or trainer lock back at the time, in the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. And once again, we are pairing it with Vileplume's item lock. So, of course, you guys know what Vileplume does by now. No item cards can be played. So, we run a 2/2/2 Plume line, a 4/4 Trevenant, and we run one Trevenant break. This is a tech. You really don't have to do this. This is kind of a fun little card to just, first of all, it's an HP buff for Trevenant. Second of all, you can Lysander something big out and use Silent Fear to just spread 30 all over the place. You can hit things that are weak to Psychic, like the new Garbodor, which is kind of nice. Maybe now all of a sudden they only need 2 items in their hand instead of 4 to be able to take for trainers in order to pick up that KO, which is pretty good. But only one copy because we don't want it clogging our hands. So a 4/4 line on the Trev break because we're mainly just using Poltergeist. So that's our main Pokemon lineup. We have 4 Shaman EX, the maximum number. I kind of modeled this build after my Vespiquen Vileplume that I took to day 2 in the expanded format in Collinsville, St. Louis Regional. Now, obviously, in Standard, we don't have Battle Compressor, so that's a thing. But, we're kind of able to tailor to. So 4 Shamans, just maximum consistency in terms of draw power. 2 Tapu Lele's as well. Just a lot of, like Shaman for draw, Lele to be able to pull some disruption with N, a switch with Olympia, Lysander for, a specific KO, or for a high retreat target, and then of course you have your 4 Sycamores, just like generic supporter rundown with Lele. And then 1 Tauros. Originally was running Lugia EX, I chose to switch to Tauros, because it just seems like it's a bit more effective, especially since we have 4 Float Stones in here. So, just pretty streamlined as far as the Trevenant Plume line goes. The 1 Tauros is just a little tech attacker. It's our 1 tech option. Item lineup, since we're running Plume, we don't play Versus Seekers, so we've got 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Level Ball, again, a lot of consistency there. 4 Trainer's Mail to help get that stuff out. 2 Revitalizers. I cut the 3rd copy only because we don't have Battle Compressor, so there's no real reason to play 3. Even then 2 might be a bit much, but in case you have to Sycamore a bunch of stuff away early, it's a good way to be able to recover and get Vileplume into play or get an extra Trev out. And then 1 Town Map. This is my 2nd tech card in the list. Just, this and Tauros, really. Just being able to flip over your prize cards and pick up prize double colorless energies or whatever it is that you might need. It's usually going to be double colorless, but, just kind of whatever. 4 Forest to Giant Plants, pretty much a must. I already went through supporters again. 4 Sycamore, 2 N, 2 Lysander, 2 Olympia, Lele Search, and then Sycamore for mad draw power, obviously. We got 4 Float Stones, the max. You get Float Stone onto Vileplume. You're probably going to want 1 on Tauros. Everything else is either attacking or only has 1 retreat. So, it works out pretty well. And then 4 double colorless, your main attacking energy, main energy in the deck, fulfills Poltergeist, fulfills all of Tauros' attacks, as well as Sky Return and Tapu Lele's Energy Drive. And then 2 Psychic just to work with Trev Break and Tapu Cure in cases of emergency. So, that is the list. And we're going to go ahead and take this into a couple of games. So let's get going. Okay, so we see Psychic, Water, and Fighting, looks like. I'm guessing a Water deck running Lele and probably, I don't know, like maybe the new Sudowoodo or something. Based on the Blastoise coin, the Water deck box. Things just kind of looking that way. So, we draw a pretty atrocious hand here. something that that is one of the weaknesses I'm noticing of this. You know, unlike Vileplume Vileplume, which this was kind of modeled after, I'm not quite seeing the same magic in the opening hands here. Perhaps that's just the difference of the format, but I don't know. So there is the Sudowoodo. You see Kukui goes to the discard, he gets a Choice Band and a Water Energy on his Vulpix. So, go ahead, let's see, we find a Level Ball there. We need to find something here to draw some cards. Alright, there's a Sycamore. Now we have the other thing, we do have a Forest there. Which, actually, I think I'm going to go with that since we have Shaman in hand. We'll be able to drain our hand down to one card. And we're going to Level Ball here, because we can get an Oddish, we can throw the Float Stone right onto it, and evolve it into Gloom, attach a double colorless up on the Phantom, and then play the Shaman to draw 5. So that actually ended up working out pretty well there. We do find some more stuff here. We have an Ultra Ball. We have another Shaman if we decide that we need it. Ultra Ball here, discard the Gloom and the Lysander. And thinking here we actually just pick up the Trevenant now. Though there are 4 copies of it in the deck, so the odds are a lot better that we draw Trevenant than Plume. But if we draw Plume, we can't play our item cards to search the rest out. So, yeah, I think we go for the Trevenant here. We do have another Shaman. So we can pick up 4 cards off the Shaman, since I do want to save that last bench slot in case we absolutely need it. This Sudowoodo taking us down to 4 here can actually be pretty relevant. And we do find the Vileplume. So we can actually Ultra Ball away these 2 to go find Tapu Lele, which can find us an N. Get us a fresh hand, not force us to discard a double colorless, and we're also going to get the Vileplume now. And that is about as picture perfect as far as, you know, like we don't know what we're gonna, how much damage we're gonna do here, but otherwise that's about as picture perfect of a first turn as you can have here. Absolutely beautiful. And we don't draw into too much here, but we got the Float Stone, the Plume, we got the powered up Trevenant in the active spot, and here is Poltergeist. So we do get enough damage. We end up dealing 90. Now he does have a Lele, which is going to be his play here for next turn unless he top decks something better. We find Olympia in the prize cards. But we got the item lock, we got the knockout. You know, like, our board is pretty well set up. We can always fall back on Tapu Lele as an attacker if we need to. So, really just, our cards felt pretty well in that particular instance. And this is not a deck that is just going to go off like this every game, like, unfortunately. But it's definitely, you know, when this thing goes off, especially in certain matchups, you absolutely hit. You know, you can hit astronomical amounts of damage. And so we see a Remoraid come down. So it looks like he's playing with Octillery rather than Shaman. Interesting to see. Now we would have the option here if we could Ultra Ball to get the Trevenant break going. But I think for now we're just going to hold on to that energy. We can go ahead and Poltergeist again. We can find Hex and Choice Band, which is enough for a KO since we're hitting him. Oh, I guess he's not weak. Okay, never mind. He's got 3 Alolan Ninetales in his hand, though. He's weak to water. Okay. For some reason I thought he was weak to grass. That's okay, we can 2-shot him. So we now got 4 energy on that Lele. We are going to see a Hex Maniac come down here. And there's Aqua Patch, so that's going to attach onto the Remoraid. So he's taken away our damage output entirely now, unless he drew another item. But he also hexed himself out of, or he hexed us out of item lock, so we can go ahead and drop the Ultra Ball there, and we can just discard, these 2 cards. And we can go find Trevenant Break, which can do us a little favor here and allow us to hit a Silent Fear. And we can also throw Tauros down for the intimidation factor. So that can go down. He can have a float stone because, you know, float stone's for everybody. And then we'll also thin the deck here with Double Wall. We'll go ahead and grab another Phantom out for when our Trevenant dies. And we can actually milk the KO a little bit here by taking a Silent Fear approach. And then we're going to have to discard one of our bench Pokemon because Sudowoodo is going to reactivate. So we get a Shaman off our bench as well, which is kind of cool. So he's just going to pass his turn. So we're going to get 2 KOs here. We also get an N off the top of the deck, which is a welcome sight. Maybe we can find a double colorless. We're going to go ahead and play that N. And that's not too bad. It's not great. We don't have an energy, but whatever. It's not terrible. So we can Silent Fear here. And we're going to take a pair of knockouts as well as soften up that Tapu Lele. And we can find a Sycamore to help us find a colorless energy for that Tauros. And there is an energy. Okay, so never mind. We just find the energy. And Lele would be able to get us a KO now. As he's going to get an Oko, but maybe not. RIP. Pokemon Center lady. Sad face. Okay. So he's able to lay down 180 damage with that Energy Drive for a single prize card. And I wonder how much we can do here with Poltergeist. We do have the Phantom and the Trevenant and the double colorless, so we've got all of the necessary ingredients. And we'll dig for another double colorless, which we didn't find, so we'll just put another Phantom down. We do have another Sycamore or 3 in hand for next turn, so we will Poltergeist here. We find 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, so we get 120 out of it. Now he'll just turn around and knock us out, but that's fine. I mean, he just would have needed to add a water energy to take the KO anyway on something bigger, on the Lele or the Tauros if we had put the double colorless there. So I'll just give him the 1 prize card here. We do see a Rough Seas come into play. There's another Vulpix. And that is one loaded Lele. 180 damage, so again only 1 prize because it's just another Trevenant, you know, we're not giving him anything huge here. We find a forest so we can knock his stadium out. And we're going to be going very low on cards here with this Sycamore, but it's going to give us good odds here at hitting another double colorless, which we do find. Thankfully. Now, we could... Oh, no, you actually can't Poltergeist. Now, we can actually just Horn Attack here. That would be enough to take the KO. So I think that's going to be the play. I think we're just going to take Horn Attack. So that's going to do 60 damage. It's going to finish off this Tapu Lele. We're going to get 2 prize cards and be in a very solid spot here. And we should still have 1 more double colorless available to us, because there are 2 in the discard, and so he forfeits the game right there. There it is. So Trevenant, Vileplume, with the help of Tauros, taking down a loaded Tapu Lele, and a couple Silent Fears from Trevenant Drake are able to come through. We had a gorgeous opening, as I said, they're virtually perfect. And we were able to carry ourselves through the game and take down a Alolan Ninetales Lele. So we will go into another game now and see if we can make it 2 for 2. Right, brother. Okay. Orville or Wilbur? And, alright, so he's playing, it looks like an all-water deck. Could be maybe Greninja, which could be scary, but also carries a weakness to grass, which is more than welcome. So this turn, or this game, again, we open with we have a pretty nice opening hand here. I mean, we have a Lele, we've got the 2 grass basics, we got a forest, we've got Ultra Ball, a town map, Trainer's Mail. You know, like, I really can't complain. We've hit a couple of pretty solid opening hands here, for sure. And he flips over a Psyduck. Okay, I'm not really sure what this is. I was expecting Greninja. I mean, I realize by most accounts Greninja is a dead deck, but I was not expecting, you know, like, when you think about something that's all water, that doesn't have Shamans in it, doesn't have Lele's in it, like, I mean, really, what do you expect to see? Like, the only thing that really comes to my mind is Greninja. Like, granted, we just played against Alolan Ninetales, but he was running Lele, and so, obviously, an interesting case here. We go ahead and flip over our prize cards here. Alright, and we find, oh my goodness, 2 double colorless. Wow. And considering I normally draw them starting at the top on here, it's probably good we flip those over. So we're gonna ignore the Ultra Ball, I think. Not really not doing that. Alright, so we're just gonna let that go. Forest can go into play. Attach the double colorless, and we will Tapu Lele here. And I'm gonna let him hold on to all of his cards. We know that some of them are just energy, so we're just gonna go ahead and pull a Sycamore here. No point in really ending him away here. And so we get a fresh hand, and we don't find much. We do get a Shaman here, though, so we can keep the streak going at least. And Level Ball, let's see if we already have the moon, so we're just going to take a Phantom here. So we just put the moon down, and we do have the Float Stone for it as well. Let's go ahead and play the T-Mail. Nope, we find nothing there, so Phantom will go down. I'm not really wanting to put another Oddish, so we'll just take 4 cards off of Shaman. Alright, and there's Trevenant. We don't find Vileplume, unfortunately, but Trevenant can just get us a Donk here, I'm pretty sure. So we're just going to Poltergeist here, and yeah, that's the game. Okay, so we're going to do number 3. Yeah, and he's got weakness too. Oh my god. Alright, so we're gonna do another one, because that was a little gross. Alright, so game 3 incoming. Okay, and another water deck. A water colorless, so this could be Ninetales, this could be Talonflame, Greninja. Again, if people still play it, which, you know, I've heard some whispers of it on the upswing again, just because of some of the newer decks. I don't know that it's necessarily a good idea, but, I mean, I guess the only way to find out is to play test. So, we start with Tauros. It's not a Phantom, but it's not bad. Let's hope our game's frozen here. What? 15? What? What the heck's... Oh, okay, there... Alright, I got a little worried there for a moment. Okay, and we see Silent Lab. Okay, and then this one is Greninja. Alright. Much like what I was expecting to see last time. And so we're seeing water decks just everywhere. Granted, that last one, I'm not really sure what was going on with it, but we see Greninja. We saw Alolan Ninetales, which did not carry a grass weakness like Greninja does. So, probably not going to be wanting to use the Break Evolution here. Granted, if he's running Lab, he's probably not running Rough Seas. I know standard Greninja builds typically don't run Rough Seas, because Trevenant Break isn't really a thing in standard. So, I guess the big reason you don't want to use it here is because you lose your ability to hit Greninja for weakness. And now he's the one taking his time, so we'll see if he opens with the Talonflame, or if he gets stuck with a Froakie here, which could be a real problem for him. Okay, and instead it's a Mulligan. Okay, I'm not really sure why that took so long. Oh, because he had the Talonflame in his hand. Okay, he wasn't sure if he wanted to take a Mulligan or not. So I forgot, if you open the Talonflame with no other basics, you do have the option to take a Mulligan, since you technically do not have a basic Pokemon in your hand. And we'll see if that comes back to haunt him. We get 2 Mulligan draws, and no, I won't be starting chain. Okay, so he still does get the Talonflame, and we have a lot of useless cards in our hand. Okay, yeah, so for that reason, we're going to take Ultra Ball rather than Level Ball, and we are still going to find an Oddish with it, but we're going to dump a couple cards we don't need here. Alright, and we're not going to get very much off Shaman if we were to even put it down on the board here. It looks like we've been getting 3 cards, which I guess is just enough. Alright, so we find an energy, we find Gloom, nothing we can really use, so I think we're just going to attach the Psychic Energy and Sycamore. We can always revitalize with our Gloom and Vileplume back. And still no Forest, so we're going to have to keep digging. There it is. Okay. We don't have a Revitalizer, though. So, let's see, we can Level Ball here to acquire... Let's see, we can acquire Gloom. The other Plume is in the deck, so I think we are going to acquire Gloom this way. Put another Phantom down, Forest, Gloom, and Trevenant. And then just watch ourselves get delinquented into, you know, complete shit and oblivion. Otherwise, we would be in a pretty damn solid spot here. We can try to fish for another Float Stone to get Tauros out of the active, and then play one of our draw supporters to pick up some more advantage. So we see a Water Energy goes on to Talonflame here. waiting on some kind of a search card to bring out Froakie, which he's going to need to do here real fast. Although if only one Froakie sees the board, then okay, so he's going to end. Because if he only had one Froakie, we would just be able to Lysander it and try to pick up an attack. But with no energy, that's not too good. Meanwhile, this time we find Revitalizer, another Trev, a Lele, and a replacement Stadium if we need it. We've got Shaman if we wanted to draw instead of Lele. We've got a lot of options, but he does get 2 Froakies down, unfortunately. So I think we're just going to focus on getting Tauros out of the active and seeing if we can't lay something down. And this is going to open up our GX attack for us a little bit. We see Fated Town comes into play. We also know he runs Lab because he opened with Lab in one of his mulligan hands. So we see Arrow Blitz there. So we could go get an N if we really needed to. Getting the Plume out here seems like a really, really good idea. But probably not until we find a Float Stone, which of course we don't have. So I guess we can evolve this Trevenant. And we can try to thin the deck out a little bit and throw away, I guess, probably these 2. And find something else that we maybe don't need. Not really seeing anything that I just want to throw away right now. I think we just failed this search. Now we could end him, obviously. We can end him off the top of Lele. Or we could just Sycamore. Regardless, we're putting the Stadium down, and I do think we actually go for the end here since he Arrow Blitzed, so he was able to set up his hand pretty darn perfectly. So we're going to try to disrupt that. Even though it gives him 1 more card, I think, you know, him having 6 cards as opposed to having 5, and 2 of them were hand-picked, I think I'd rather he just had the 6. So we're able to do that, and we do get the double colorless. We also get the Float Stone. So we can get Tauros out of the active spot. And we are going to go ahead and give Tauros that Float Stone. And then, got to be expecting water duplicates here. So, I don't know. I think we actually just leave the Tauros up there for another turn. In the event that maybe he misses and is forced to Arrow Blitz again, we would, at that point, have a Tauros just ready to go. Ready to charge for a rather obscene amount of damage, should we choose to use it. And it's not something we're probably going to have on hand to deal with Greninja Break, because when Greninja Break comes out, that's probably the first thing we're going to target. To make sure that an OHKO doesn't happen. So we do see an energy goes onto a Froakie. We can see if he has a Frogadier. Or maybe like a Dive Ball or something. Okay, so he has Wally instead. So he's going to play Wally and get Frogadier out, and then we will see Water Duplicates pull up to 3 more out of the deck. So he is going to get his spread out going here. Unfortunately, we can't hit Talonflame for weakness, and he ends us out of our Lysander. So we can try to pick up a KO, and that right there is why we held on to the double colorless. That's why I didn't play it. Oh, and of course we draw another one, you know, go figure. So, you know, it's going to make us look stupid now for trying to make the smart play. Alright, so we're going to attach to the one that doesn't have any energy. Bubble Ball, I guess, see if there's anything we want to pull out of here. I'm thinking the answer to that is no. And, yeah, we'll just Sycamore. I guess we could have floated something, whatever. Alright, so we get Town Map. Still no Vileplume. Which is pretty gross, but at least we know we can pick up KO here. I'm also going to go ahead and dispose of this. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we had, I guess, an Ultra Ball and a couple of T-mails, and then we had Revitalizer available to us. So we're going to go ahead and just Poltergeist here. See, he's got an N, he's got a Fisherman. Okay. Not much else going on there. He's going to have to play that N on his turn. We do pick up a prize card, so I think we go ahead. Let's see, based on what we're sitting on, we just take the Ultra Ball. Not really in desperate need of draw supporters right now. He's going to go ahead and play an N anyway. So that's mainly just due to him not having a regular Greninja in his hand. So he's got to find one here. He's going to end us to 5 and be able to start getting some damage. Hopefully he doesn't get too many Greninjas on the board we do find a Lysander. So we can make some fun stuff happen. We have... Oh my goodness, he didn't hit it. He Arrow Blitzes instead. And this is going to give us a chance to put Plume down. Okay, and we actually do top deck the Plume, so if we can hit an N here off of this Trainer's Mail, and it doesn't look like that's going to be a thing. No, okay, so I think you could take Revitalizer here, or you can just take Forest of Giant Plants. I think we just take Forest here. And yeah, I think we just discard both of them. We really don't need those. And we are going to end up Lysandering here pretty soon. We could take Lele for a future play if and when he takes a knockout. Have Lele kind of waiting in the wings. And yeah, we are definitely going to put Vileplume into play and Lysander up the Frogadier that has the energy for a Poltergeist. Alright, and we hit plenty of cards, so we'll get our KO there. Would have actually missed the KO on Talonflame. So, based on what we're sitting on here, let's see, we have Lele if he takes a knockout. But I think... Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I think for that reason we just take the Psychic. Because that's all we really need for the bench Trevenant, is just to give it the one energy. We can conserve a double colorless that way. Talonflame, of course, with Free Retreat will come right back up into the active. And we are down both Lysanders, so that is not going to be an option, so we're going to have to fight whatever is active at this point. We do, of course, see a pair of Greninjas come into play. And he's going to have to keep his trainer count way down, which he's not able to play his items, so those Versus Seekers he's sitting on are dead. Which means if he wants to attack us with well, okay, I guess I can use him, so that's fine. But if he wants to attack us with Greninja, he is going to have to leave himself wide open to taking a return attack. And as long as Tauros sits on the bench, it should be fine, as he would need to hit 3 attacks, or just more than likely a Lysander and a pair of Giant Water Shurikens to pick up that KO. Whereas 3 trainer cards in his hand will spell doom for Greninja, because Trevenant can just come out and OHKO it then. So that is the second double colorless hitting the discard, not the third. So that's a little better. For a second I thought it was the third, that was going to be a problem. But it is only the second. We also do have another Phantump in hand that we can put down as he decides what prize card he wants to take. And we really need to start taking OHKOs now, constantly. They need to be in rapid succession, because we're not going to get any 2-prize knockouts, and we didn't get a lot early game because we couldn't take out the Talonflame. So he's definitely thinking about his prize cards here. I'm not sure what's taking him so long, you know. Trying to look at his computer screen, which one's not a trainer card, which one's not a trainer card. Okay. So we have Tauros, which can just sit there temporarily, and wow, what a top deck. Oh, that's beautiful, because then we can conserve that Psychic energy for another turn, which is nice since we really can't play this Sycamore, because it would drop us to 1 card in deck. So we will Poltergeist again. We hit 1, 2, 3, 4 item cards, so we will pick up another knockout, and I mean, I don't really think it matters too much. Let's see, there's 2 Trebs on whatever. It doesn't matter. We're item locked. We can't Sycamore. Our options are not very flexible at the moment. We do still have another double colorless somewhere in the deck, which is definitely comforting to know. There's also the chance that he plays an N or an Ace Trainer. Definitely options that could present themselves. But getting rid of another Greninja is a pretty big deal. And so once again, you know, I don't know if the game is just slowing down when something gets KO'd. I did kind of notice it wasn't really letting me look at my discard pile right away. Not really sure down the stretch how big of an impact that's, like, if that's maybe what's making him take so long to, like, because I noticed it when he KO'd me, and now it's happening again. So instead he brings up the Froakie. So he's probably going to have to set up again, and oh no, okay. So he just forfeits the game instead, and if he was unable to get a Greninja break that turn, that was going to really put him in a tough spot, having to bubble for a long while with a bunch of item cards in hand that he can't play. And so Vileplume really making Trevenant a lot stronger, because I feel like without Plume you just end up in a position where Trevenant can't really always hit for that much damage. It's not really so reliable. I've seen some people may pair it with Garbodor. Overall, I would say this is a fun League deck. I'm not sure that I would take it to a tournament unless it's just littered with stuff that's weak against grass. But it's definitely a fun deck to play, and when it goes off, it can be pretty potent. So that's Trevenant Vileplume, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Cheers!